Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Forge of Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Alex Uli, and this is episode 151 of the Forge of Freedom. Today, I have an article that I'm going to share with you from the Foundation for Economic Education, fee.org. It's an article by Tobin Slavin, and it's an article, it's a bit of a prelude. As you know, if you've been listening to the show for very long, I've done a number of episodes about homeschooling and alternative education. And by alternative, I mean alternatives to government schools. Episode 54 was with Jonathan and Adriana Prescott. They're the folks behind The Homeschool Life in the book Kids Don't Need School. It's an episode about their book, and then I had a follow-up episode with them in episode 89 about the entrepreneurial side of homeschooling. And then, of course, I had an episode with Marina Rocha. She's from Brazil, actually, and gave her perspective about public schooling or government schooling versus homeschooling. And the episode was The Only Good One is a Closed One. So that, I think, gives away the message of the episode to some degree. But those episodes, I'd encourage you to go back and check those out. I think that those were excellent guests, and I think you'd get a lot out of those if you haven't listened to those already. But the article today is called When Back to School Blues Signal a Deeper Problem. If children aren't excited about school, perhaps that's an indication that something needs to change. And that subtitle really caught my attention because I knew lots of classmates growing up when I was in school who were just sort of dejected and lost hope, lost sort of that spark for life that most children have innately. And I don't think it was just because they were getting older. I think that it was because they were being forced through a system that didn't engage their curiosity, that didn't build up their natural tendency, their natural wonder, and not only didn't build it up, but actually stomped it out. And I think you see that, especially, and I think it can be different for everybody. For me, it was really junior high and early high school. I had to look beyond the four walls of the school building to find hope, to find something to strive for, to find something to look forward to, and to really engage with. For others, it's much earlier. For some, it's later. For some, they fit in perfectly fine into the system, the one-size-fits-all system. But it's very rarely ideal for anyone. So anyway, this article, and it's back to school season. I've already encountered a number of school-age children who have exhibited this sort of loss of hope, loss of their spark. And I just want to share this because I think if we want a better world, it starts with, or at least to some degree, a huge component of it is bringing education back home and personalizing education. I think that it's something that can't be done in a one-size-fits-all fashion. And so anyway, I want to share this article. It's a bit of a prelude for an episode that I'm going to have coming out next month. I'll have Carrie McDonald on the show, and she is the author behind the book called Unschooled: Raising Curious, Well-Educated Children Outside the Conventional Classroom. And I think you'll enjoy that discussion with Carrie McDonald. She's also the voice behind the Liberated podcast, which is an excellent podcast. Definitely go check that podcast out at liberatedpodcast.com. And finally, the last thing I'll say before I get into the article here, there is a free webinar by Carrie McDonald. It's called Exploring Alternative Educational Pathways. And it's going to be on Monday, September 23rd at 7 p.m. And it's a free webinar where you can learn about all sorts of alternatives to the government educational system. And I think that'll be a great program. I'm planning to attend myself. So I will certainly link to that webinar registration in the show notes. So with all that said, let's get into the article. Again, it's called When Back to School Blues Signal a Deeper Problem. If children aren't excited about school, perhaps that's an indication that something needs to change. And again, this is by Tobin Slavin. September's crisp air once carried the promise of new beginnings for students. Fresh notebooks, sharpened pencils, the excitement of reuniting with friends painted an idyllic back-to-school season. But for an increasing number of students and families, this annual rite of passage now brings a complex mix of emotions, anticipation tinged with anxiety, hope shadowed by doubt. What if your child's indifference to school isn't just a phase, but a warning sign? With a growing number of families quietly leaving traditional schooling for alternatives, from homeschooling to micro schools to innovative charter programs, it's time to ask, are we misreading the back-to-school blues? And more importantly, what if the solution lies not in powering through, but in reimagining the learning environment itself? The silent erosion of curiosity. Author and Nobel Prize winner Elie Wiesel said, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." This insight also applies to human relationships and a child's attitude towards learning. As parents, we must be vigilant in recognizing the signs of educational indifference, which can be far more harmful than outright rebellion. Look closely. Is your child merely going through the motions? Do they shrug off questions about their school day? Has their once vibrant curiosity about the world around them dimmed? These subtle cues might be easy to dismiss as typical back-to-school blues, but they could signal a deeper disengagement from learning. Fewer than 2 in 10 Gen Z K-12 students strongly agree that their classwork feels important, interesting, or aligned with their talents, highlighting a deepening disengagement that risks leaving an entire generation unprepared for future challenges. The danger lies in allowing this indifference to persist. Over time, it can extinguish the natural love of learning. This isn't just about grades or academic performance. It's about preserving the spark that drives lifelong growth and adaptability, crucial skills in our rapidly changing world. Truly engaged children don't just complete assignments, they ask questions, seek new information, and make connections beyond the classroom. If these behaviors are absent, it may be time to reassess your child's educational environment and explore alternatives to reignite their passion for learning. In recent years, the educational landscape has shifted dramatically. While many children still line up for the first day of traditional school, a growing number of families are charting different paths. Homeschooling has evolved from a niche choice to a mainstream option. Innovative microschools offer small cohorts and personalized learning. Online academies provide flexibility for work-from-home families seeking alternatives without parents needing to turn themselves into de facto teachers. This shift isn't merely about where learning happens. It's a fundamental reimagining of how and what children learn to prepare for an uncertain future. The industrial era school model, designed to produce compliant workers, is increasingly at odds with the needs of our rapidly evolving world. As parents, we're faced with a crucial question. Is the traditional system serving our children's unique needs and preserving their natural love for learning? Or are we witnessing the quiet erosion of curiosity and engagement, masked by compliance and routine? Reigniting the spark. The landscape is rapidly evolving, offering hope for families seeking alternatives. These alternatives, from homeschooling cooperatives to innovative microschools, are reimagining what learning can look like. Picture vibrant spaces where children collaborate on projects, pursue individual passions, and develop real-world skills. In these environments, education isn't confined to textbooks and standardized tests. It's a dynamic, personalized journey. With the expansion of educational savings accounts, ESAs, and similar programs that support the student, not just the system, new options are becoming accessible to families across various socioeconomic backgrounds. This expansion of choice is driving educational innovation, where entrepreneurs and educators are free to develop creative solutions tailored to diverse learning needs. By embracing these choices, parents can reignite their children's curiosity and love for learning. Whether it's a tech-savvy virtual academy, a nature-based program, or a rigorous classical curriculum, there's likely an option that aligns with your child's unique interests and learning style. The key is recognizing and exploring alternatives. At Acton Academy, Fort Lauderdale, the microschool I co-founded in 2021, a poster encapsulates our philosophy. Clear thinking leads to good decisions, which leads to right habits, which leads to building character, and ultimately, the destiny to change the world. This isn't just about academics, it's about developing critical life skills. By encouraging clear thinking, good decision making, and positive habits, we're building character and preparing students to make a real impact. This approach directly addresses educational indifference by connecting daily activities to world-changing potential, transforming learning from a series of disconnected subjects into a purposeful journey of purposeful growth, personal growth. As Cameron Parton, one of our Acton parents, recently reported, my kids used to forbid speaking the phrase back to school in our household over the summer. Now I hear things like, Mom, my writing has improved this week, and today was one of the best regular days at school I ever had. What I'm seeing is that when my kids have autonomy, feel like they have control over their day, and are challenged by thought-provoking content, the blues are because summer is over and not because school is back. Curiosity rekindled. As September unfolds and routines settle in, pay attention to your child's true feelings about school. Are they genuinely engaged or passively moving through the school day? Remember, indifference can be detrimental as detrimental as outright resistance. The good news is that educational alternatives are more accessible than ever. If you're ready to explore options and reignite your child's love for learning, join our free webinar, Exploring Alternative Educational Pathways, on Monday, September 23rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Hosted by Carrie McDonald, Nasia Israel, and myself from FEE's New Education Entrepreneurship Lab, this event will guide you through innovative educational models, provide expert insights, and connect you with a community of forward-thinking educators and parents. This webinar is your gateway to reimagining education, whether you're a concerned parent, a curious teacher, or an aspiring education entrepreneur. Register here to take the first step towards transforming your child's educational journey. Let's work together to make back-to-school season exciting and engaging for every child. So there you have it. That's the article there by Tobin Slavin, When Back-to-School Blues Signal a Deeper Problem. Like I said, I'd highly encourage you to sign up for the free webinar. if you or someone you know has a child who they're thinking about exploring alternative educational models, whether that's homeschooling or microschooling or Montessori schooling or what have you, there's so many options these days. I think this is a great place to start because I think so many people are overwhelmed with the number of choices that they have. Everybody sort of assumes, well, I'll just go to a government school and never gives their child's education a second thought, which is really quite sad because the rearing of your child, the education of your child is something that will live on with them for a lifetime. And it's something that I think should not be taken lightly and simply handed over to the government, who frankly I don't trust with anything, even the most menial tasks, let alone something so important as a child's education. So, like I said, please check out the webinar. Go back and check out the previous episodes I've done about homeschooling. I think you'll really enjoy the Kids Don't Need School episode with Jonathan and Adriana Prescott, as well as the episode with Marina Rocha. I think those were excellent guests. And then, of course, check out the Liberated podcast as well. All right, everybody, I want to keep it relatively short this week. I hope you got something out of it. I hope that you're able to attend the webinar. And stay tuned for the episode next month with Carrie McDonald. That'll be coming out in mid-October. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us spread the message of freedom. You can always find us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and all the most popular podcast streaming platforms. You can also find us on X at Forge of Freedom and at forgeoffreedom.com. Thanks, everybody, and remember, until next time, you are the Forge of Freedom.